All right, we're live. Well, thank you everyone for joining this exciting webinar. We're very honored to have the man himself, Tom Collins of TC1 Goalkeeping Coaching online with us. Thanks for joining us, mate. We've obviously got Mac and myself here in the Gold Coast office, and you're at home after a big day coaching. But yeah, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Nah, pleasure, lads. All good. Good to be here.
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, the purpose of this is kind of to educate goalkeepers is something that we're working with a lot of goalkeepers at the moment, from a variety of different levels, clubs, academies, and we're working with a few of your goalkeepers as well who you're coaching. So wanted to get you on to kind of break it down, and at the same time talk about the college opportunities that a lot of our goalkeepers are getting. That's why we've got Mac on here. He's placing a lot of goalkeepers at the moment into US colleges, and you're coaching them at the highest level as well. Can you kind of give everyone a bit of a background into yourself, where you are at the moment, and how you got to assistant coach, head goalkeeping coach with the Brisbane Roar?
Yeah, so started off by playing in the UK. So started a professional academy in the UK from the age of 10, all the way through until I was 20. So I signed a professional contract, had a 3 or 4 year pro. Um, and then yeah, quickly fell out of love with football, struggled with football, which a lot of kids do. Yeah, wasn't in the greatest mental space, so took a little step back, and that's what brought me to Australia. Um, Tried to get away from it a little bit, and then got given an opportunity at a time when I probably needed it the most from the ex head goalkeeper coach at the Roar, Dale Hill, who's now head of goalkeeping at FQ. He dropped me a text, and I was umming and ahhing about it a little bit. I was still in that position where I wasn't sure about football. And then yeah, just decided to take it, see where it went, and really, really give my love back for football. As I say, probably in a better space now mentally than I was at my best time when playing. So coaching was definitely my calling, and I'm enjoying the process. Still very young in that process, but I had really, really good mentors in Dale Hill. And then since Dale Hill's gone, Ruben Parker has been just as good for me. Still learning every day, still a young coach, just like a lot of the young kids that will be listening to this. And they're in that sort of stage of their playing careers. I'm in my coaching career, trying to be a sponge, learn new things every day, take my career to the next level, and then see where it goes. But yeah, at the minute in a good spot, in a good position mentally, and both on the pitch. Yeah, really enjoying what I'm doing.
Mm, mm. No, that's awesome, man. And break down your kind of your football career, because you went pro pretty young, right? And tell us a bit about kind of that journey from junior football through the academies to kind of playing at that professional level, and kind of explain a bit more the pressures that you came under. You said obviously you fell out of love for it, and there's obviously a reason for that, and it's something that I think is really important to talk about. And could you, yeah, maybe break that down a little bit more?
Yeah, so from young, I was say I was one of the better goalkeepers in my age group in the area. So I had a lot of upward like trajectories. To a point where I didn't really have that many setbacks as a kid, which looking back now was probably a little bit of a downfall for me moving forward. So yeah, so started playing youth team, which in the UK is under 18. Started playing that sort of 15 years old. And then I got my first professional contract at 16. So I had a lot of interest at that time. I was in around the England setup at 16 years old, playing for the under 17s. So yeah, really really big things coming for me at that point. So then got chucked in the deep end at the first team. And then when I started to have my first little bit of dip in form and dip in confidence, it was in a first team environment, and I was in a position where I've never experienced this before. I don't know how to deal with it. And instead of dealing with it at a younger level where it's in more of a confined space, I was doing it at a level where 3 points at a weekend matters. Everything you do throughout the week matters. If it's not done properly, it's or not done to the best of your ability, it's not a learning curve anymore. It's the difference between someone getting their win bonus at a weekend to pay their bills, to pay their mortgage. So a lot of pressure at that point, and the way the club was at that time, I probably wasn't best set up for me to help myself, but not only that, the people at the club to help me in that sort of environment, that sort of space. I look back and I compare it to how I am at the Raw now, where they've got someone brilliant called Carlo at the Raw now. And he's all about the mindset. So he's there to help everyone if they're going through a tricky period, whether that be form, personal life, is there to step in. And I think hindsight's a brilliant thing, but if I had that sort of thing when I was playing, would I still be playing now? God knows, but there'd be definitely a bigger chance of me still playing now. So he does a brilliant job at the Raw, both with the first team and with the NPL boys. I say to my goalkeepers all the time, tap into him as much as you can, be around him, because say football's, especially as goalkeepers, it's 70% mental, 30% technical. So if you can get the mental side right, your technical ability can flourish. So yeah, I struggle with that side of it in terms of dealing with the environment, dealing with the pressure and mistakes, which was probably good for me when I stepped away. I had the chance to go back to that same club 6 months after I stopped playing, and I turned it down. And I think that was probably the best decision I made because I still wasn't in that right mental space to go back in there, and I probably would have gone straight back into that same thought process and same scenario, same outcome. So I stepped away. And then since I've come into the Raw, I say I've worked on that a lot more, and I'm in a good place now and know how to deal with it. Carlo's been big for me as well, in terms of it works with the coaching staff, with the young coaching staff. Um, but yeah. So technically, was in a good spot. Probably mental wasn't in the right position I needed. Whereas now it is, and you can see that when I go into work every day, it's a lot better feeling going into work every day and wanting to strive. Whereas before it was a struggle. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, no, that's thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. And so we obviously work with college recruits, right? College athletes, the NCAA, NAIA, and JCAA. Did you have any exposure to that when you're in your youth football phase? And was there any kind of anyone help and guide you through that young process, or how did yeah? I guess was there any exposure to the college system at all for you?
Not enough, no. Not enough. It was more that was only an option and a slight option given to you if you was released at that youth team level. It was more of a backup plan rather than this is a big option. I say the misconception is a lot of people think going pro early is the best scenario, best way forward, especially in the UK from where I was. And for me, it's probably too much too soon in terms of 16 years old in that environment. If other clubs have sort of your 23s level, you get to go out on loans, you get to build yourself as a person, as a player. Whereas I didn't have that. I thought going straight to pro was the right idea. Whereas I know a lot of other people that's used the college scheme as a stepping stone. So at 18, they didn't get that professional contract in the UK, but they've gone to the college process. They then got recruited for the MLS side. A lot of them have been in that MLS Next Pro setup. Um, and then 2 years later, I say there was playing against the likes of Wrexham. They're playing all different teams in the MLS, where a lot of people that went pro with them fizzled out. So there's no right or wrong way, I don't think. But for a lot of people, if they need that stepping stone, that build a character, I think the college system would be perfect for them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you've been around, a lot of goalkeepers.
Mhm.
What separates your good goalkeepers from elite goalkeepers? What are some of the key kind of traits or characteristics?
Biggest one, mentality. Mentality. If you've got the right mentality, you'll go far. You'll go far. So nowadays, if we're talking about the technical aspect, being good with your feet is massive now. But for me, the be all and end all is keeping the ball out the back of the net. You can be able to be as good as you want with your feet. If you can't keep the ball at the back of the net, you're not a goalkeeper. You might as well be a centre half. So you need a mix of both, and be coachable. Be coachable is the main thing. Okay, don't go into a session, into an environment thinking you know everything. As I say, we was working at the Raw. We've got players that are 30s plus. They're still like a sponge. They're still learning every day. So especially in my environment, in the college environment at that age, be a sponge, learn off everyone. Take a little bits of every coach that you've worked with, and then mold that into the goalkeeper you want to be. So I might be different to some of the keepers I coach, but if they can take little bits from me, then I've done my job. I've done my job. Then the next coach they go to take a little bit of them, and it molds them into their ideal goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And does that kind of align with, obviously, Mac, you talk to coaches every single day. Is that kind of align with what you're hearing from these, NCAA Division One programs?
100%. And I think a big part, if we're talking about goalkeepers specifically, you alluded to it, Tom, in terms of being a lifelong learner in it. I think that's super important because, as you would know best, a goalkeeper going into college at 18, 19 years old is not the same keeper they'll be when they're 22 and graduating.
Yeah.
More so than outfield players than anything. Goalkeepers are, I don't want to call them late bloomers, but the development trajectory is very different. Would you speak to that a little bit in terms of what the college process can do for them in terms of what an 18-year-old goalkeeper looks like compared to one who hits those early 20s?
Yeah, so everything's different in terms of if you're an early developer, a lot of goalkeeping based stuff is power, how you use your body. If you're someone that comes to naturally, I say that you'll be a lot early developer than someone that develops a little bit later. But yeah, in terms of the process, it's a goalkeepers. It's very rare that goalkeepers are breaking into a team at 18. Um, I think there was a study done where the average age of the top five leagues for goalkeepers to be cemented into a team is sort of the 23, 24 age. So that's proof that whereas outfield players, a lot of them are breaking in at sort of your 18, 19s. So it's definitely different for goalkeepers. They need to be patient. They need to learn the craft. They need to be ready when the time comes. So we spoke about it earlier, where they need to be ready. Second choice or third choice as goalkeepers is a lonely position. It's if you're second choice striker, you're still coming on for 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game. Um, if you're second choice goalie, there's a high chance you might not kick a football all season. So when you do come in, you need to be able to take your chance. So last season, working was at the Roar, the B team. We had one of our goalkeepers that I say works with yourself as well. I say he didn't play a game for sort of two-thirds of the season. He then gets chucked on first action being a penalty against the team that won the league the year before. Um, Mentally he was ready, mentally he was prepared, and he comes on and makes that save, and then that's him settled in for the rest of the game. And then from there he's done unbelievable since then, and he's still with us next year. So yeah, yeah,
Awesome. No, I think that's the mentality side of things in terms of being ready is super important for the college system because again, if you go in as a freshman, there's a good to great chance, especially at the Division One, Division Two level, that there's a keeper that's 2 to 3 years older than you in that
Mhm.
environment. So learning from them super important, learning from the coaches and being ready for your opportunity. But I think being patient is something that you highlighted that's super important as well. Understanding that things might not come quick, but if you trust the process and develop in a really high level environment, you can be that guy that is playing over you or that girl who is playing over you 2 years from now. So it is
yeah.
definitely super important to set yourself up that way.
So goalkeeping environment is different as well in terms of every goalkeeper wants to play, but we're a weird breed in terms of even though I'm competing against the person in front of me, we've got to be a family. So the way we create that environment is if I perform at the best I can possibly do, that then means the person in front of me has to be better. To make sure I don't take him over, and we constantly push each other's standards from there. So that's something I'm big on in terms of goalkeeping environments. I like good people, good characters, people that are gonna still want to play, still have pride in wanting to play. I say don't ever accept being second choice because if you accept that, then mentally you're not prepared to go play. Um, but in an environment where I'm going to work as hard as I can, so that's going to push you, and if you work as hard as you can, it's only going to make me better. So yeah, that's goalkeeping environments are a little bit different to outfielders, but in a good way, in a good way.
Thanks. And we have a lot of athletes that we talk with that, their goal is to play in the A-League, right? They're born and raised in Australia and New Zealand, and, it's the professional pathway that they want to try and chase. How many, like, how, I guess, how realistic is it for a goalkeeper to break into those sorts of A-League environments? Like you've obviously seen them, you've seen a lot of them come and go, and how realistic is it for someone that's still in high school to grind it out and get in that squad? Like, do you have any kind of thoughts or feelings around that?
I say just taking your time, mate. Taking your opportunity when it comes. I say there's processes. I say don't try and be that person who played A League at 15, 16. You gotta keep going up. So for example, making sure you're cemented in the NPL side. Then when you get a chance to train with the A League, you take that opportunity. If you get a chance to be second choice, you're then available to doing everything properly then. But in terms of how likely is it? Very likely. Very likely. So this is one of the leagues where a lot of young keepers are able to break into these teams. For example, Central Coast Mariners had a very young goalkeeper last season playing in the A League. You've got Pat Beach, who's at Melbourne City, who just made his Socceroos debut the other day. I'm pretty sure he's only 22, but he's played all of last season, played this season. He's just got man of match on his Socceroos debut, and at 22 as a goalkeeper, to be doing that at that age is special. Um, you had Alex, who was started at Wellington with Ruben Parker, who's obviously the Brisbane Roar first team goalkeeper coach now. He had him at Wellington. He then got signed by Bournemouth. He's then gone back and won the league last year with Auckland, and now he's playing in the top flight at the Polish First Division. And he's done all that by the age of 22. So there's definitely opportunities. I'd probably say this is the one league where there is a lot of opportunities for young goalkeepers. So Australian young goalkeepers, they're in the best place to progress and get them opportunities because coaches, especially here, aren't scared to chuck a young kid in goal. So Wellington had two young kids last year. Central Coast, obviously Melbourne City, and I'm sure there's plenty of others that I've missed off, but a lot of clubs are willing to throw them in the deep end, and if they swim, happy days, they're perfect.
And are you guys looking at the US college system? Are you looking at the NCAA at the Australians that are competing in that environment?
So from a first team point of view, potentially that wouldn't be what I would be doing. My role is, as I say, I support the A League, but a lot of my admin sort of stuff is based off what we have in our environment in Queensland. So the thing with the Raw is we have one team in Queensland. So something we like to take pride on as most we can is creating Queenslanders. That's a big thing that we look at. So in terms of bringing them back over from the American programs into Australia, that's probably not what I look to do. With the A League first team, that might potentially be an option. I'm not sure. But a lot of my stuff is based on Australians in and around Queensland who are developing in the NPL setups around us. So, for example, we had an injury last year with one of our keepers did his ACL. We invited a lad in from Brisbane City. Really impressed. He was again one of the ones that took his opportunity. He's then come in with us, and we promoted him from Brisbane City, and he made two or three appearances last year for us in the goalkeeping setup. So yeah, so that's where I would mainly be looking. A League men's environment potentially different. I'm not sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
In terms of Tom, for you, because we've spoken to some other coaches, former players that come from the British setup, how important is exit strategy for a young player at that 17, 18 years old? Obviously, growing up in a football environment where that's option A and there is no plan B, C, or anything like that, how important is looking at the college route as, again, an option for an exit strategy for someone in terms of pursuing your football somewhere different as well as getting a degree? Can you speak to like the idea around exit strategy and why it is important?
Yeah, massive, massive. I say you can only imagine as say in my environment as a 18, 19-year-old kid who's worked his life every single day, two, three, four times a week, sorry. Training, always turning up to then at 19 get told that you're not getting offered a spot and you don't know what you're going to be doing. You don't know what your future looks like. So for me, my role is always making sure that we can support them in their next step, whether that be finding them a club in Australia, finding them a club abroad, or the college system. So for me, an exit strategy is massive because it's an uncertain time for players. a scary time for players that have, like I say, devoted their whole life to football. To then get told you're not good enough in one sport is tough. So we need to make sure that transition's as smooth as possible to help them get kickstarted straight away into the next thing and hopefully flourish in a different environment. So whether that be the college system or even if it was a case of making sure they've got a job lined up or studies lined up if they didn't want to carry on with the football. For me, I think it's massively important. Yeah.
Nice. All right, shifting tack. Tell us about TC1, mate. This is obviously, it's your kind of baby that you've created, and I know you're working with a lot of keepers at the moment. Kind of what are the key values that you kind of are running at TC1, and how can people get involved?
Yeah. So TC1, yeah, started. So I moved out into onto the Gold Coast sort of last November. Started off doing a few private sessions and then it just boomed. It went really big really quickly. I say coming from the UK, I'm firm in my approach, but fair in my approach. So I like to create a really good environment where when we're working, we're working. Um, but in and around that, we need to make sure we're working with a smile on our face. To keep that love for the game, keep that passion for the game, and if I can create that, kids want to keep turning up and do more for me in terms of how they approach sessions, how they prepare for sessions. So yeah, the environment is massive for me. Um, I say I'm bringing other people, other coaches in now who have them same values. So we've got a good ethos in our company. Um, but yeah, just trying to bring good goalkeeper coaching to Queensland at the minute, but hopefully to Australia as we move on. So there's not enough goalkeeper coaching here. There's some really really good goalkeeper coaches, but not enough. So for keepers, it's hard to progress, hard to take that game to the next level, and we're hoping to sort of fill that stock gap whilst creating opportunities in different environments, whether that be helping push them to FQ, helping push them to the Raw, or to you guys in the college system. So yeah, yeah, only just started, but it's doing well at the minute, doing well.
How important is it, in your opinion, for keepers? Again, I would say separate from outfield players in a sense, in getting those small group one-on-one sessions, especially as they progress into older ages. How important is that for them to stay on top of, in your opinion?
Massive, massive. I say it's a sport inside a sport. I say no offense to a lot of outfield coaches, but it's not their forte, and I know that because my old man wasn't a goalkeeper. So him trying to coach me from an outfield point of view, it was a hard watch to start with, but once he got the hang of it, it from second nature to him. So yeah, it's a sport inside a sport. And in them, I say we like to work in 2-on-1 environments, but there's so many things that I can pick up in them sessions and have them corrected. I like to get them as soon as they start coaching, start playing. Sorry, so I'm not then correcting 6 years worth of bad habits. I say that's the tough one. That's the hard one as a coach, but rewarding when it comes the other end when we can see that progression. But when we have a kid straight away that we can mold their abilities, mold their techniques, it's been good, and we've, as I said, good track record in Queensland so far, and touch wood, it's going well, and we've produced some good goalkeepers so far.
And then also, how important is film review? Is watching back your tape. A lot of athletes struggle to do that, and I know it's
Yeah,
really big over in the college system is watching back film and evaluating, being self-critical. Have you
mm.
seen more success in keepers that can be self-critical and that do watch back their tape?
100% say that's the most important thing for me. Seeing how they've completed an action to start with, how we can improve it, whether that be a massive improvement or just tiny little intricate details. And if they can be self-aware enough to go, I don't think I've done that right. How can I get better? They're the ones that are gonna flourish. They're the ones that are gonna make it to the top. The ones that don't want to watch their tapes, don't want to be self-critical, think that everything they've done has been brilliant. I say they're only going to stay at a certain level. So yeah, tape film review, video analysis is massive, and so something we're big on, not only in the raw space, but something that we're big on when we work in our different clubs and their academies in the NPL. We have a structure where they send us their clips good or bad, and we leave comments and we make sure that they're improved throughout the session in the week. So it's massive, massive.
Awesome. And we've got a lot of goalkeepers that are currently talking with college coaches, right? They're doing interviews, they're meeting the GK coaches at these programs. What would be some questions that these keepers should be asking these coaches to figure out whether or not it's going to be the right environment for them?
Yeah. So stuff I would be asking is what the goalkeeping environment's like, what the team environment's like, how the team wants to play, because a certain playing model, playing structure might suit one goalkeeper but not suit the other. And if you're going into an environment where it doesn't suit your playing structure, I say right away you're going to find it tough. If you're adaptable and you can adapt into that environment, perfect. But I say that's something that we might struggle with. And something that I would always look at is what their sessions are like, what their goalkeeper sessions are like. So, for example, we put all our sessions on YouTube unlisted, and then if someone wants to have a look at that, we can send them a link. I'm a big believer in live sessions, making sure that the setup in my sessions are as relevant to a game as possible. Game realistic scenarios where a lot of other coaches don't coach live sessions, and it's more repetition in terms of volleys, which they have a place for. But for me, I don't think it replicates proper game scenarios. If you're used to serving just catching a straight volley compared to someone shooting through bodies, it's massively different. So that's something that I would be asking from my goalkeeper coach. What are your sessions like? And if I think they're going to get the best out of me, perfect. I'll put my trust in you. If not, then I'd probably be asking questions at different places.
And what are some red flags to look out for?
Red flags. Someone that's only bothered about your height is a red flag for me. Something that I despise. If I say something I always go to, Iker Casillas, at 18 years old, 5'11", is then won the Champions League. So if he's able to do that, I say anyone is. Anyone is in terms of you don't need to be 6'2", 6'3" to be a goalkeeper. I say something that we're big on is control the controllables. So if you are of the smaller nature, what's your jumps like? What's your athleticism like? Can you jump higher than everyone else? And that's something you can control in the gym. So if you can work on that, get to a point where you're jumping higher than someone that's 6'2", you just cancel out the difference for me. But there's a lot of goalkeeper coaches and a lot of outfield coaches that have the old narratives of he's not tall enough for me. It's a little bit lazy in my opinion.
I like that one.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's definitely a lot of golden nuggets in there. For anyone that's kind of like not sure what they should be doing, maybe they're stuck in a window of, just uncertainty in where they want to push their career as a goalkeeper. Is there any way that they could reach out to you or get a session with you? Like, how can people get in contact with you? Because I think your knowledge and your experience is so invaluable, especially for these youth players coming through.
Yeah, 100%. So even if they didn't want to be booking sessions, I say I'm available through WhatsApp, through email, whatever that wants to be. I'm very much in a position where I want to develop goalkeepers. So if I can help with that, be a quick 5-10 minute call, I'm more than happy to do that. I say, if I can help give you a little bit of guidance or point you in the right direction, perfect. That's my job done, and that's another tip box for me. So yeah, I'm more than happy to leave my number or whatever. If they want to get in contact with me, I'm more than happy to help them out.
That's awesome, man. Well, look, I think we've almost hit the 30-minute mark. I know that you've had a big day coaching, but look, I really appreciate you jumping on and taking the time to chat with us. I think there's a lot of athletes are going to take a lot from this. And last but not least, what's your favorite football memory from your playing career? Anything stand out on the pitch, off the pitch? Is there any big memory that you hold quite dear?
It'd probably have to be my debut, professional debut. So I won't mention the score, but we played against Man City in the cup, and that was one of Cole Palmer's first games. So I soon knew who Cole Palmer was After 3 minutes, he put it in the top corner against me. So he then burst onto the stage. But after that, I was all right. So yeah, so my debut, man of the match for my local club, the club that I started out from the age of 9. Um, so yeah, that was probably my favorite one, my first game.
Easy. Well, look, I appreciate it. Mac, you got anything else to ask Tom?
No, just we gotta get out in golf. We gotta focus on that swing a little bit more before we get out
Don't worry
again.
about me, mate. Don't worry about me, mate.
Easy. All right, man. Well, look, for everyone that's watching, we are going to send a recording out as well. I know a few people have jumped in kind of midway through the webinar and whatnot, but we'll be sending this to you anyway, so you have that, and we'll be putting a link to TC1 as well, so that you can get in touch with Tom if you want some sessions or whatever it might be. But nah, thanks again for jumping on. Really appreciate it, and yeah, we'll sign it off there.
Legend, guys. Thank you for having me.
Easy.